opportunity that's at hand, literally to earn millions of dollars in the digital age. The opportunity is unprecedented, and I want to lay this all out for you guys. But before I do that, first of all, I want to just start off with my story so you guys can kind of know a little bit about me. I was a professional sinner. When I say professional sinner, I mean at 24 years old, I was John Travolta Jr. boogie woogieing in the bars all night long. I'd work all day to party all night. Sold marijuana. It was common for me to be carrying around in my duffel bag 5 pounds of marijuana. Womanizing, chasing women. When I say professional, I think if you're going to be anything, I think you ought to be great at it. Come on, man. If you're going to be a sinner, you better be a good sinner. You might as well be a great sinner. If you're going to be a man of God, you might as well be a great man of God, right? I believe in doing everything. If I'm going to do it, I mean, that's just the way I'm built. I'm going to go all out. I didn't want to give my heart to God because when I looked at Christians, I judged all Christians as you're either a nerd, all Christians were broke, or number 3, all Christians were lazy. So I didn't want anything to do with broke people, lazy people, nor that I want to hang around with nerds because I was too good looking. Yeah. The Lord didn't bless me with a whole lot of brains, but he did bless me with a whole lot of looks. Ain't no shame in my game, all right? And so I didn't want anything to do with God, but I met this woman, and she took me to a church, a real church. Like, I was used to like going to Catholic churches, and I would see this priest get up on stage, and they called him father, but he dressed like a mother. I mean, I could never even back then, I never understood why they would swing these things around with smoke going out. I didn't know. In my mind, I thought they were big bongs or something. I'm like, what are these things? Why are they doing this? And so I never understood Catholic church. They talked in a weird language. But when I went to a regular church, I heard the gospel for the first time. I said yes to God, and God came into my heart. And I literally had like a Paul of Tarsus experience. I mean, when God came in, all those demons inside of me went out. I was totally changed. And it's literally been from that day, it's been now 34 years that I have not touched another drop of alcohol. I haven't touched a cigarette. I haven't touched a marijuana joint, and haven't slept with another woman other than the person who took me to church that night, because I married her. I've been married to her for 34 years now. And so after I experienced that encounter, all of a sudden I was sitting in church and I saw a vision of myself. And I didn't understand it. I saw me speaking in large auditoriums with thousands and thousands of people at it. I felt this impression that I was supposed to go and speak and be used by God to change people's lives. Now, to be honest with you, I thought it was crazy. And off I went, man. I decided, I said, I'm going to go for it. I started my career as a speaker or minister, if you want to call it that. So I had this big desire to be used by God to speak. But yet 10 years later, I found myself $180,000 in credit card debt. I had no money in the bank whatsoever. And my wife and I, a decade later, had to sell everything we had to move into my mother-in-law's little 12 by 12 bedroom. I call that hell on earth, right? Life doesn't get worse than living with a mother-in-law that doesn't like you. Now, here's one of the nuggets I want to give you tonight. What we call a crisis, sometimes God calls a classroom. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. You know, failure has a way of humbling the soul. I had to do some soul searching. And that was a tough year, but it was a year I learned a whole lot of things. And one of the things this new mentor that God brought into my life was super successful. He asked me a question. He said, Keith, I see you're in your mother-in-law's house. You're at the bottom of the barrel here. He said, what do you do to make money? I said, I'm a speaker. And I go around to churches and I speak. and they take up an offering for me, and that's how I make money. He says, is that the only way you make money? I said, yes. And he said to me, he said, Keith, one is a losing number. I'm like, what you talking about, Willis? It's like, one is a losing number. He said, yes. He said, one times 100,000, still 100,000. One times a million, still a million. He said, one is the biggest losing number ever. Huh. Isn't it interesting that God said one of the first commandments would be fruitful and what? Multiply. You can't multiply one, ladies and gentlemen. Some of you are like me. You only have one source of income, a job. You only have one source of income, the church. You have one source of income. That's it. And then I started realizing, that's why he told me, he said, Keith, you got to look at building multiple sources of income, at least two. Isn't it interesting that Jesus sent the disciples out what? 2 by 2. That wasn't by coincidence that you can't multiply one. He introduced me to this thought. He said, Keith, he said, right now what you have is a job, because you got to go, you got to speak, and then you get money. He says, you need to learn how to make a passive income. You say, what's passive income? Passive income is where you make money without using your muscles. Wow, that's a new concept for me. What he taught me there was this concept of making money in my underwear. I thought it was funny when he said it. He says, you need to learn how to make money in your underwear. And Warren Buffett has an old quote that passed around. He says, if you don't learn how to make money when you sleep, you will live as a slave to money the rest of the days of your life. Wow. Because you'll be a slave to your job. You'll be a slave to that one source of income. And so from there, I started to search and to look for, wow, how can I make money where it doesn't, where I can multiply it? Like, how can I multiply what I'm doing? Because I still want to speak. I have a desire to help other people. How can I do that in different avenues? And that's when in 2002, I learned about the coaching business. And at that point, when you said I'm a coach, people ask you, oh, do you coach a basketball team? You coach a football team? Like, people had no concept of what coaches were back then. But I discovered the concept of coaching and consulting. Now, coaches bring breakthroughs for people to help people get things done faster and better than all by themselves. Now, a consultant doesn't necessarily bring breakthrough, although they can. A consultant brings blueprints. Like, okay, you want to build something? All right, here's the blueprint. Here's the map on how to do it. So they bring the maps, the how-tos. And so from there, I was off to the races. And one of the things I discovered was this, because probably most of you here today are spiritual people. My target was always the church. And the reason why I got broke is because all I was seeing was the goldfish bowl called the church. And so I was working to make money from the church. But God said, go all out into all the what? World. There's a whole ocean called the marketplace. And so there's people out there that don't know God, that own big businesses, that have big organizations, not only large ones, but even small businesses. And they're out there and they're looking for people to come coach them, come help them on how to grow their businesses. And from there, I discovered a whole new pathway. As a matter of fact, I discovered a pathway that is more rewarding than actual speaking. And so the reason why is if I go and speak, I can only speak in one place at a time, but I can coach 10 people, 20 people, 100 people at a time. We'll talk more about that. And I can consult a group of people all at the same time. Now we're talking multiplication. Once I pivoted, I was like, wow, I was just locked into being a speaker. And I changed. And see, some of you are just locked into your job. Like that's the only thing you can think of. And you hate your job. You hate what you're doing. And you don't like it. But in coaching people throughout the years who don't like their job, I say, are you searching for any other pathway to make money? And 99%, ladies and gentlemen, say they aren't. I said, well, how long have you been hating your job? Since I started. Like, wow. Oh, brilliant one. Really what you're doing is you're a slave. You've allowed your job to be the spirit of mammon over your life, doing something that God probably never even called you to do. But because you feel trapped, now you're stuck there. I pivoted, and there's several of you on the phone like, you need to pivot. And the question is like, where do you pivot to? And I'm going to give you the answer to that. But for me, I decided to make a change. And I added additional streams of income on what I was already doing in the field that I was already operating in. And everything in my life started to change. I went from being $180,000 in credit card debt to 3 years later having no credit card debt whatsoever without going bankrupt. I went from having no money in the bank to building a multi-million-dollar expert empire. I went from living in my mother-in-law's house to my wife and I in year 2 literally bought our dream home with hardly any financial pressure on our life. So everything in our life totally transformed. And I believe those of you who are on the call here today, I believe that if you have a desire, I want you to hear me loud with this. If you have a desire in your heart to make a difference in people's lives, like you want to write a book that could change somebody. You want to speak or teach. You want to coach people who are struggling with problems and issues. You want to be able to bring blueprints to people to help them, show them, how do I get from point A to point Z? And if you want a life of fulfillment, I'm here to tell you right now that this is the moment that if you just have a mentor and you have the right map, hear me, you can make $1 million a year. That's the potential. You can make $1 million a year as an author, speaker, coach, and educator online. And I'm going to lay out for you why this is true and how you can do this, how I did. I'm going to show you some behind the scenes about how I did it. Tonight, I'm going to give you 3 points that I think that are essential in the digital age to literally transform your life personally, professionally, and financially. All 3 of those. Let's go. Point number 1, the easiest and fastest and most profitable asset you can build right now is an information product. I want to leave that on because I want you to grasp this. The easiest, the fastest, and the most profitable asset. You know, in the old days, we used to think, my house is my most profitable asset. No. It's going to take you a long time to turn your real estate into an asset. I'm talking about something you could do that's easy, something that you could do that's fast, and something you could do that's most profitable. Just like you buy a home and you have personal property that you own, it's tangible. You can also build intellectual property that is also of tremendous value because of this point, everybody. We've got to understand the season that we're in. We have all transitioned as human beings throughout the decades. We started off as hunters and gatherers. We transitioned out of hunting and gathering into the farming age. And so if you're a hunter and gatherer, you wanted skills of hunting. You wanted skills to be able to gather. And the ones who were better hunters, the ones who were better gatherers, they prospered, or their families prospered. Then we went to farming. And the value was what? Land. That's why you had landowners. Because if you wanted to prosper in that age, he who had the most land was the most influential and had the most money. Then we moved out of that into the industrial age, where what did you want to own? You wanted to own a manufacturing company. That's where the wealth was going. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we transition into the information age, where people now are making more money than ever before on information. I am seeing millionaires, multimillionaires spring up by the thousands through this industry right here. And sadly, the church is asleep, and an opportunity has come to us, and the church is asleep, and they don't know there's an opportunity right in front of our face. And now we're moving into the digital age, where now we can take this intellectual property, turn it into a digital product, and sell it online in our underwear, and not even have to be awake, not have to lift a finger after we create it for 20 years. Some of you are going to think this is funny, but I have a product I created 15 years ago that I still sell online. I don't lift a finger, and I get checks every single month for something I did 15 years ago. That's the power of the digital age. One of the greatest hockey players of our time was Wayne Gretzky. And he was asked, he said, hey, how are you such an incredible hockey player? Like the world's best. Nobody can touch you, hands down. And he made this statement. He says, I never skate to where the puck is. I skate to where the puck is going. And here's what I want you to know. Most preachers, your parents, your teachers have taught you, do your passion. I say, no, you don't do your passion. Don't do your passion. That's skating to where the puck is. What you need to do is you need to find out what God is involved with in the earth and get involved with what God is already doing in the earth. What's going on in the earth? We're in the digital age. The information digital age. Forbes just came out with a report that said that the information industry, so people who create books, people who create courses, people who create masterminds, people who create coaching programs, consulting programs, and etc., whether it's one-on-one or group, that industry right now has reached $400 billion a year. By 2029, we're talking about this industry is going to be in the trillions. It's an amazing trend that's going on. Colleges are closing every single day right here in America. Why? Because people are understanding, I don't need to go to a brick and mortar school to learn. I can type in Google and I can find out information and learn and grow right on Google or through an online platform in which I can pay somebody $299, $2,000, $5,000, or $10,000, and I can get a skill online without going to school and leaving my family and so forth and so on. So I want you to think about this. Intellectual property can be created in 4 different areas. Number 1, a problem that you're able to solve. Now, I'm wondering online here, or maybe you're watching me by replay, how many of you have had some big problems in your past? Go, give me a wave, point yes down below. All right. Hey, if you've had a problem in the past, what you don't realize is you could be sitting on $1 million information product. Multi-million-dollar information product, possibly $100 million information product. How many of you had a big hurt? Like you've had a big pain in the past, like something horrific happened to you. cause a lot of pain. Well, there's people out there who've had the same pain trying to figure out how to get healed. So they're looking for courses. They're looking for people who will guide them in the healing process. They're looking for that consulting process, that blueprint. Like, how do I get out of this pain and this hurt that I feel and feeling like I'm stuck and I can't move forward? How do I do this? Then there's needs, people who just have needs. And then the final one is skill sets. Like, there's so many of you out there, you have certain skill sets that you devalue. You know how to do something that other people don't know how to do. We have a lady that's making millions showing ladies in their 20s how to cook, how to bake. I mean, she gets on there and bakes cookies. And she has over 3,000 young people who show up for her membership program and pay her $49 a month. And she racks in millions of dollars. And her husband has a recorder in her kitchen, and she talks to the young ladies and teaches them how to cook different meals. I mean, this is how awesome of an opportunity we have. So it's like, find a problem, solve it, find a pain, heal it, find a need, meet it, find a skill and train for it. This is how you make money now in the digital age. And it's going to continue to grow like crazy. As these young kids now who are brought up with cell phones, iPads, they're used to getting what they need. Not in the four walls of a school system. They're used to getting everything they need in their hand, on the iPhone, and on an iPad or a computer. So you need to be there for that. I want to show you this guy. I mean, I want to show you this just so you can see the possibilities. This is one of my students. His name is Martine. He has a training program called Innovation. He just did. He has a program that he sells online, and he did a big launch, and he made $1 million. That's what you're looking at. This is one day. He did $1 million in just one day. Like, some of you are kind of saying, wow, Dr. Johnson's like, I could make $1 million in a year. He talks like it's nothing. Yeah, because I have students like this who made $1 million in a day after going through my training of 83K Academy. Now, let me show you the math. I want to break this down for you so you can even see even better the possibilities of what can happen for you. I call this the math M1M, the math to 1 million. So some people are saying, man, what's my path to becoming a millionaire? No, not a path. You first do the math. Once you know the math, the path becomes obvious. So let me show you something that I learned a long time ago that really transformed me and enabled me to make millions in my expert empire. First of all, let's say you write a book. That's a digital product. You write an ebook that's solving a problem for somebody. All right? So let's say you're going to charge $20 for that book. So if you want to make $1 million in a year off your $20 book, what you're going to have to do, watch this, you're going to have to sell 50,000 copies of that book to make $1 million. Wow, that's a lot of copies. That's a lot of copies. But I want to show you a trick on this, right? Because the first thing I teach in my 83K Academy is your book isn't your big money maker. So I want to show you this. It's a little trick. The cool thing is whenever you're timesing anything by anything, right? You can move any of these zeros. So for the fun of it, let's take this 0 and let's move it up here. Now watch this. Now we have a $200 product and we're going to sell what? 5,000. Guess how much that is? It still comes out to 1 million. Let's have fun with it. Let's play it again. Let's bring this up there. Now we got 2,000. A $2,000 product. Now guess what? Whoa. Sounds a little bit easier. If I create a coaching program, $2,000 a piece. I bring people in group coaching. And all throughout the year, I can get 500 people throughout the whole year. At $2,000, I'll make $1 million. Let's break it down again. Let's bring another one up. Now, we got a $20,000 program at, all we got to do is get 50 to bring 1 million. Let's do it again. Look at this one. Here's the big one that changed my life. All I got to do is get 5 people. Some of you probably can't see that, and it's really sloppy. But all I got to do, when I bring the 0 back up, I got to get 5 people at $200,000. And I just made $1 million. Now, when I was in my mother-in-law's house and I was figuring all this out, I said, well, okay, wait a minute. Because remember, my millionaire mentor told me, do the math. I thought, wait a minute. What I'll do is, instead of 5 at 200,000, because I didn't think I was worth it then, now I have $1 million consulting program. Yeah, $1 million. And so then 100,000, I thought, how about if I cut it in half? I have a program that's 100,000. Now all I got to do is get 10 people. So I got all year to get 10 people. And if I work, now think about this. I want you to think about this. If you work as hard on your job as you do building a business like this, some of you get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, you drive an hour to work, you work 12 hours, 10, maybe 9 hours, 10 hours a day, then you drive all the way back home. You're working 12 hours. You're gone from your home, your family for 12 hours. What if you took that time and you worked for 1 year at getting 10 people, and if you had a consulting program that you could register them into at $100,000, now you're making $1 million. And remember, here's the cool thing. I told you it's the most profitable. The information industry, it has a 78% profit margin. Now think about this, especially if you work a job. If you owned your business, you're paying less taxes because everything is run through your business. All this money is your business. So you have cars that your business needs for you to drive around. You've got cell phones for your business, right? So now a lot of what you do, you go out and you talk to somebody about your business, that's a business expense. Places you eat with food. You take clients. I took somebody that just last night out for dinner and out for a nice concert. I paid for it because this was his favorite band. I paid for it. I enjoyed it too. But it was all under the business, not out of my pocket. People who own business are the less taxed people on the planet. You get rewarded for starting a business. You get kicked to the curb for your job. You're the highest paid tax bracket on the planet. You're getting taxed for everything. That's why you can't get ahead. And that's why you need to start thinking, wait a minute. I can write. Can I write a sentence? Yeah, if you can write a sentence, you can write a book to solve somebody's problems. Because if you can write one sentence, you can write 2, you can write 1 You can write two sentences. You can write a paragraph, write one paragraph. You can write 10 paragraphs. You can write chapters. You can write a whole book. And what I teach you with AI, you could do a whole book through AI if you choose to. So this is what I did. And I says, okay, I'm going to set a goal, 2002, 10 every single year. I've done it every single year since 2002 to hit my $1 million mark. It's as simple as that. So that's just one strategy. Then I have other products over here that I also have. I have a $20,000. Also, I have a $20,000. This right here ends up being $100,000. I also have a $20,000. My goal is to get 50 people every year in the $20,000. Now I make what? $1 million under my $20,000 offer. I also have an information product that's $200. My goal? Get 5,000 of those. So once you start seeing the math, then you start seeing, wait a minute, I got a path that I can work towards to be able to achieve it. My mentor taught me, okay, you want to make 1 million? You got to have $83,000 a month to hit the $1 million mark. This is your target. That's why everything I have is called 83K. That changed my life. I never had a target. I had this, oh, I want to be a millionaire someday. But I didn't even know how much money I need to make per month to be able to become a millionaire. And that just changed my life. $83,000 I got to make per month. I got to make $19,000 a week. I got to make $2,700 a day. Wow, every day I get up, I got to figure out a way to make $2,700 if I'm going to hit my goals. Now I got motivation. I got a goal. I got something to aim at. Okay, let's go into insight number 2. Insight number 2 is once you start seeing this, the second thing is you got to believe in yourself. Yeah, that's right. Like when God first called me and said, and showed me that I would speak on these big stages, I thought, God, you are nuts. Because remember, I couldn't barely read and write. And the thought of me speaking in front of big crowds, I'm like, what do I have to say? Who wants to hear from me? Especially at church. I'm like, oh, OMG, these people don't know who I am. I sold drugs. I've lived a crazy lifestyle. Sleeping with a lot of women, messing around, getting drunk. I have a past I'm not proud of. How many of you are glad that God does not consult your past to determine your future? Oh, man. And I remember telling myself as a young man, I'm just not smart enough. I'm just too not smart. This is going to be way too hard. It's going to take way too long. And the bottom line is I didn't believe in myself. And that's why I'm saying that you got to believe in yourself. And it's really not that hard. You just need a map. Like I tell people, do you have a desire to change people's lives? Yes. That's all I need right there. Many of the people I'm going to show you in just a minute. All I said, you have a desire. Okay. We can work with that. Now, one of the biggest mistakes people in this industry make is, especially if you're spiritual, is they end up trying to model pastors. Yeah. You see, a pastor has to be a generalist. A pastor has to know a little bit about a lot of things. I mean, a lot of things. They've got to know about, they got to know about marriage. They got to know about raising children. They've got to know about God. They've got to know about the prophets. They got to know about church history. They got they got to know all the apostles' names. They've got to memorize all the books of the Bible. They've got to understand how to run a church. I mean, they've got a wide variety. The blood of Jesus, this and that, and this and that, and they've got to know so much. What they don't realize is they're generalist, and so that's why most pastors only make $70,000 a year. They don't make much because generalists don't make much money. What I want you to be effective in the digital age is an expert at something unique and different to you and only you. And that's why you need a map on how to find that out. And so in 83K Academy, I give you that map. I call it the expert quadrant. There are 4 quadrants to making a difference in people's lives and a lot of money in this industry. Okay? The bottom 2 quadrants are the financial limitations quadrant, but you still make money. So you notice the one quadrant is a speaker, the other quadrant is a writer, top quadrant is an educator, and the very top left-hand corner is a consultant. Where you want to be is in the box of the consultant, because consultants can charge an infinite amount of money. How much is it worth if I bring a blueprint to you that you could make $1 million a year in a business? How much is that worth? Well, much as I want to charge. If I promise you, I'm going to give you the blueprint to build $1 million a year expert empire, how much is that worth? $1 million. Because you could over 10 years make $10 million. Well, surely that blueprint's worth $1 million if you don't know what the blueprint is. I can charge it if I want to. So that's the power of consulting. And then education is so powerful because you can put your courses and your trainings all online, and now people can access those literally all over the world at any time of the day, any time of the night. People can be buying your products. Now, writing a book, it's hard to really break through on that. Your book is just your business card that opens the door to speaking, educating, and consulting. Unless you're a phenomenon, right? If you write a book like Harry Potter, God bless you. If you're a Joel Osteen, praise God, you're going to make a lot of money. He gets several $1 million upfront money from publishers, but that rarely happens. The space to be in is in consulting. That's the space. If some of you are here, you're already a speaker and you already, have a book, maybe even call yourself a coach, even though you don't have any clients. Nor have you ever had any training on how to do it. The box you want to be in is inside of the consulting box. That's where I made most of my fortune throughout my lifetime. Now, if you notice, everything points to one word. You can't write, you can't do a speech technically. You can't bring your courses, nor can you create a consulting program until you've mastered your one word. Now, we're very strong in this in 83K Academy. That's the number one thing I promise you. When you get on the other side of it, while I mentor you, that you're going to come out knowing what your one word is. Like I did a huge case study. So think about this. If I say the name John Maxwell, you instantly think leadership. How did he break through? He mastered one subject. Joel Osteen, I mentioned his name, a friend of mine, spent some time with him, and he told me, he said, Keith, all I want to do is just encourage people. I just want to encourage people. Encouragement is my one word. I said, yeah, that makes sense. And he said, so when people ask me about gays, he said, I don't bash them. I don't say something negative. People ask me about abortion. I don't want to hurt anybody that's had an abortion. And so I try to be careful what I say because I just want to be the encourager. He knows this one word. And he creates programs, he creates speeches around it. See, until you know your one word, you're just throwing stuff at a wall hoping something sticks. And ladies and gentlemen, most of the time nothing sticks because it's not intentional. You have to be intentional if you're going to break through. You say T.D. Jakes, what do you think? Woman, thou art loose. That's what opened the doors from him. We would never know T.D. Jakes unless Woman, thou art loose came out. Joyce Myers, battlefield of the mind. Everything she talks about is of the mind. She became an expert. She was a truck driving mama, cussed like a sailor and smoked a cigarette as she taught the Bible. Her own confession. And she teaches people how she changed her mind. That's what every single message she teaches about. If you look at the thrust of her ministry, if you want to really make an impact, that's what you got to do. In 2002, I spent a decade and I failed because I didn't have my one word. I'd go around, I'd preach sermons. And every time I went to a new church, I was like, oh, Lord, what do you want me to speak about? I don't know. Oh, Pastor, what do you want me to talk about? Oh, I don't know. Do whatever the Lord tells you. And I always just bouncing around, thinking I was led by God, but really I was just being stupid. Oh, I'm led by the Holy Spirit. No, it's just a thought you had. Because you don't have the right to stand in front of anybody unless you're an expert. Unless you know a subject more than anybody else on the planet. And that's what we do in 83K Academy. We help you be able to do that. Let me show you a couple guys just so you can, well, this guy was a praise and worship leader as a church, had some problems in the church with the pastor. He steps down, goes through 83K Academy, and he builds a $300,000 per month expert empire. Here's another guy. You think you can't do it? I know, I get it. Here's Andy Harvey. He was just a police officer. Now he's a chief. Before he went into 83K Academy, he's a police officer down at Dunkin' Donuts, drinking coffee and eating donuts. Fat and overweight. He goes through 83K Academy, gets his one word, excellence in policing, writes a book, does a training manual on it. And when George Floyd was murdered, television stations all over America called this guy. He was on every major television station. He goes to precincts and teaches. Then he got the job as the chief of police. Then he became the manager of the city. Then he ran for mayor and they did dirty politics on him, arrested him and threw him in jail. Honest. That's exactly what happened. Falsely planted stuff in his house on him to throw him in jail. Here's another lady, real estate lady. She's making $287,000 a year as a realtor. I helped to write a book called Heart to Win because most realtors don't make $287,000. I taught her, she was in the top 5% of realtors. I said, let's write a book on how you got to the top 5%. Wrote a book. Then she made $1.25 million in her first year. Just regular lady. Here's a pastor. He came to our school, got trained. They had a word about comeback, a whole bunch of cities, 23 countries, wrote 4 books on it, started 3 churches based on their one word. Here's a friend of mine. I want to show you this one. Dr. Chan. He was a pharmacist, went through 83K Academy, got some mentoring from me. He was a pharmacist that was miserable in his job, had to stand up all day long. He was running an Airbnb and he was expanding and he was really excited. And he decided he wanted to do a whole training, a whole course on how to start your own Airbnb, how to go to people who are already trying to rent their house, that you didn't have to invest a cent to get an Airbnb. And now he trains people how to do it. And in his first year, he won the $1 million reward, but he did $2.4 million in the first year. So there we are celebrating together his big win. I just wanted to show you this because I want you to know, like some of you can look at me and say, oh, well, look at him. He's special or something like that. And I'm trying to tell you, I'm not so special. I flunked kindergarten. But I got the map. I discovered the map to doing this. And we put it in 83K Academy. The final insight I want to give you is this one. Is in the digital age, speed, not excellence, is king. Money loves speed, but it hates friction. Okay? And so what we've got to do is we've got to learn really quick. We got to figure out how can I learn a new skill as fast as possible? So you need new skills for the new digital age, and you can't try to do it on your own. I had a desire to go fly a plane. If you want to go fly a plane, you can't just say, hey, I'm going to go try flying a plane. That's what a lot of authors, speakers, coaches, consultants do. Hey, I think I can speak. I'm going to go speak. They have no training, and they go out there and they crash and burn. No mentorship, no training, no guide, nobody helping them. That'd be ridiculous if I just said, hey, I'm going to go fly a plane. I'm going to go from Tampa, Florida to Los Angeles, California tomorrow. I'm going to crash and burn. I need a guide. I need a training program so I could do what? Flying an airplane is all about building skills. I need some skills to be able to do it. That's why some of you are here today. If you want to move into the digital age as an author, speaker, coach, consultant, you want to transition out of something that you love into something, out of something you hate into something you love, I have a training course called 83K Academy that all these people that I'm sharing with you, they went through this. And you can see a list of, I could pull up 100 testimonials. 2 of them are on here tonight that just went through the program, Bishop Ricky and Lee Michaels. Hey, Lee, Michael, what did you think about 83K Academy?
Well, Doc, you would call me first.
Am I exaggerating on this stuff, or what do you
No, no,
think?
no, 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 no. And let me just say, even though I went through the academy, and you know, this is a, a repeat for me hearing some of this that you're sharing, I still pulled my pad out and start writing notes again because it's still compelling. And the thing I liked about 83K was first and foremost, my story. I have 45 years in broadcasting, successful career in radio, but I wanted to get my time back. I was sacrificing um, time for money,
Right.
and I wanted to get my time back. In this particular season of my life, I wanted to be able to do some other things and have freedoms. And so a mutual friend introduced us, and I said, let me go for it. Let me try it. And I was amazed at the amount of information that you provided. I must confess, coming in, I was a little skeptical because I'm so used to, you know, um, the heavy promises and little delivery,
Mm-hmm.
and I was very satisfied with the fact that what you gave was not only tangible, but it was concrete. I could digest it and I could apply it, and so I hit the ground running. And right now, I get to sleep as late as I want. I schedule my meetings when I want, um, and I work when I want, and I'm building my client list up. And it's ironic that you spoke about the consulting because I started targeting organizations that I have relationships with. The first consultant agreement I got was with my former employer, the
There
radio
you go.
station, iHeartMedia. They hired me back as a consultant. And I've had some others that I've nurtured. I got a big one I'm working on now with a newspaper who has historic implications because of the content. They've got 100 years worth of content that they can't monetize. And so they've come to me as a consultant to help them find a way to monetize it. And I'm putting together, just as you said, a blueprint. So 83K was very important in helping me to get a crystal clear picture. One of the things that you talk about is having a clear picture of what it is that you're going after, and then building a structure that supports achieving it, and then putting a plan together. And so I did that, and I'm working my plan.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And listen, everybody, we see this all the time. So many people are like, oh man, I'm waiting for God to bring me opportunities. And here's what I find. Until you invest in educating yourself and training, God won't send you the high quality people to help if they know you don't have the skill set, if he knows you don't have the skill set to be able to help them. See how that doesn't make sense? It's like we're hoping for something that like we're not even ready for. It's kind of like I had a dog named Cuddles, and she was a big Doberman pinscher. And every time I'd go get on the school bus, she loved me. And every time I go get on the school bus, my Doberman pinscher hated the school bus because I guess because she took me off for the whole day. And so as soon as I got on the school bus, my dog would chase the bus every single morning. And then one morning, the bus driver got mad and slammed on the brakes. And then Cuddles, you should have seen Cuddles' face when Cuddles realized she caught the bus. He's like, oh, now what I'm going to do with the bus, right? Some of you are praying for stuff you're not even ready for yet, right? And so what happens to our students is once they get the high quality training, all of a sudden all these doors start opening up. One after the other. Bam, 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 bam. What is that? It's like I don't fully understand. It's like when I got my doctorate degree, I saw things start taking off in my life. Like there's something about when we're prepared, God said, okay, now I'm going to send the people, the opportunities, and the money your way. But sometimes our heart tells us we're already ready and we're not. That's ego. Bishop Ricky, you're getting invites all over the place. You're speaking all over. Bishop, what are your thoughts tonight?
You may recall we met in Florida in Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is where I'm going, and I'll be teaching there again on next Wednesday night. But here's the point. I kept doing business. I knew people. I do business. And I remember one time I gave handouts, and at the end of the handout, I gave it free. I'm going to bless everybody. And probably 99% of those handouts was on the floor at the end. And my wife and I did that for 4 or 5 times. Then I start adding a price to it. And it wasn't until I got around $19, $20, $29, I never saw something on the floor. They would all, now they paying attention. I realized something. I hadn't given them value. It's almost like trying to sell an idea, but I need value. And so when I took the course, when you first told me about the course, I said, Ricky, where are you going to get that money from? I kept thinking, how I'm going to do this? Not that I wasn't going to do it, but how? But I will tell you now, if you look at my events page, I'm starting to get busy. And I'm pushing one of my clients who out of on the East Coast. They recently, when they came to me, I started taking them through the program that you gave me. And after our 6-hour meeting, our first meeting was 6 hours, tons of questions. But here's what happened. They already bought their 6th home. They had 5. They bought another home since then. And they said, okay, I'm going to tell friends about this because I've never seen how to structure this like this. Oh, it's worth it. It was going to cost me, but it's worth it. That's what I appreciate the most is that there was an order that it provides a lot of value to it. So money no longer become the issue because I appreciate the value. And as you were saying, they always say when the student is ready,
yeah,
teacher's gonna appear.
Mm.
And I was ready. And I tell you, I changed everything about me. I'm looking at one of it now. I didn't know my one word, and I start realizing, and when you helped me, I realized, okay, I'm about a movement, but I'm about a multi-generational wealth movement, because that's always on my heart. So for me, it wasn't hard to jump on board. It was just telling myself how I'm gonna do it. But as you recall, that day you called me, I was at my office in Pasadena. I jumped right on it, and we did what we did. But I will tell you, not just expect, I see the fruits.
That's
Within
beautiful.
30 days, I'm starting to see the fruits. And now my schedule's booked up until October. And I got about, well, I'm not allowed to say, but I may be in closing speaking to about 500, I hadn't told you this, or 800 apostles, bishops, pastors around the country at a special meeting. And if I get that platform, all because the director's son heard me talk about what you were doing.
Wow.
And I said, okay, that happened. I'll break that 83K.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, but I don't push money. I push their value in themselves. So I can tell you honestly, in closing, I'm seeing the fruits already. And I would have never saw these fruits, had seen these fruits, had I not got the training and the fog. And that's the big word that's the substrata foundation you gave me, is that once I got out of the fog in my head, things became clear. And I said, oh, and I had that, that aha moment. And so hopefully I'll see you next week. But that's my testimony. You heard it from a guy that one time lost everything, was homeless, and slept in a car.
Wow.
But when I was homeless, when I told myself I was homeless, I said, I will never, ever give another person control over my life. So the training does work.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. That was awesome. That's incredible. Thank you for sharing that. That's so cool. And I hear these all the time. I get texts all the time. I got a text from another guy. Him and his wife got a divorce. And and then he went into 83K Academy. He moved into an efficiency, had no money. He scraped together money to go through 83K Academy. And literally, what did he say? 13 months later, he hit 83K per month. 14 months later, now he's doing $100,000 per month. I mean, they're talking about starting off at ground zero. So it's amazing some of the stories that are coming in. We have a class coming up, and we have 5 seats left. We have 5 seats left in our 83K Academy. If you'd like me to mentor you, I know this may not be for everyone on this call, but let me just, if you don't mind, if you give me permission, let me just tell you a little bit about it, what's going on, and then you can book a call with me and we can talk to see if it's a good fit for you or not. Okay. Cause I want to talk to you. I talked to Bishop Ricky before he came in. I talked to Lee Michaels before he come in. I don't let just anybody in because that's why I get such great results. All my students do great because I don't just take anybody. I don't need it. Here's what 83K Academy does. I'm going to put it on the screen here to let you know, and I'm going to show you exactly what we do. We help thought leaders, authors, speakers, coaches, and consultants discover their one word, build a brand around it, get known by marketing it, and monetize their message and advice so they can earn revenue and make a big difference in the world. That's what we do in a nutshell. Now, the way we do that is I have 4 programs. First program is what we call my Life Coaching Certification Academy, and it is Academy, where you will become a certified coach so that we can begin to build your expertise. You're not just going to call yourself a coach, you're a certified coach with Life Coaching Certification Academy, backed by America's #1 confidence coach and Destiny College. That's where our certification is from. All right. So you're going to be a life, leadership, church growth, and business coach. You're going to learn how to do all of those things. And you're going to receive one video. This is a 6-week program where every day you're going to go through a video for 1 hour a day. About a 1 hour, maybe some go a little longer, some are a little shorter, but in general, 1 hour a day for 6 weeks. So you could use it as your devotional time. Get home from work. You can listen to it before you go to bed. However you want, just an hour a day. The second course is what I call my high ticket consultant. This is where I'm going to show you what my consulting program consists of. I'm going to take you through it. And in that consulting program, it's going to reveal to you your one word. You're going to know your purpose, not just think, wish, I don't know. You're going to know your purpose. Okay. And then I'm going to teach you how to build a consulting program, your own, out of that, so that you can attract higher paying clients, even if nobody's ever known your name. And then the next course I'm going to take you through, once we know what your one word is, now we're ready to write the books, we're ready to write the training programs, we're ready to create the coaching business, and we're going to take you through Write Your Way to Millions. I'm going to show you exactly how you write a book. I'm going to give you plug and play, how to write a book in 7 days, how to write a book in 7 months if you want to. The speed is up to you, but we're going to teach you how the A to Z's. The guy who made $1 million a day, and I teach this one. He's going to show you how all the insights, how he made $1 million a day in that program. It's crazy teaching. Your head's going to go boop, 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 but it transforms your life. And then the last piece is Speak for a Change, how to become a world-class communicator so that you can connect with people and you can get them on your side. So we're going to help you. Like I help you in that course get past the jitters. I help you give a proven outline of how to present yourself, how to change people's lives, and how to convert them. Not just to get them to say amen, but how you get them to come on over and say, hey, I want more of what you have. That's why Bishop Ricky's here. It's why Lee Michaels is here. They both heard me speak. I've connected with them. I changed their hearts. And then I converted them to come and go deeper with me. And that's all intentional. And I teach you how to speak to the whales in congregations, not the minnows. It's powerful training. I want to just show you a little picture, all of you. Here's a picture of me. This is my first client at $50,000 per month. So I just want you to know I don't play. I'm not up here trying to tell you that I do stuff and that I'm not doing it myself. You go through this 6 weeks of taking these 4 courses, 1 hour a day. Then every Saturday for 7 weeks, I get with you on a phone call on a Saturday, and any questions you have, we get them answered. So you'll study, you'll say, okay, hey, what about this? How do I do this? You'll also experience coaching time during that time with me. So literally, not only are you going to get the training part is building the skills, but then you're going to get me a guide for 7 weeks on Saturdays, and I'm going to help guide you in the right direction. You'll know your one word. Some people I even give book titles to. I think Lee, I gave book titles. I think Ricky, I gave book titles. We iron out your book titles. We get a lot of work done. So that's the whole program. We have 5 seats. So if you're interested, all right, I want you to post yes down below. You say, hey, man, I'd like to do that. If that's you, just post yes down below. What you need to do is go to www.83kacademy.com/call. www.83kacademy.com/call. Or you could take your cell phone right now. If you're watching by computer, do the little scan code, and that'll take you there. And then you'll be able to go to my calendar this week of my openings, and you'll be able to book a time with me this week for a half-hour call. And then I'll talk to you, see if it's a fit. If it is, we'll then talk about your next step of moving into the program. Here's what I'm going to close the call out with. Like how do I know? Here's what I always say. Do you have a desire? That's what I want you to look at. A bird desires to fly because it was designed by God to fly. So do you have a desire to make a difference in people's lives? Whether it's writing, speaking, coaching, consulting? Do you have desire? I hate my job. I hate what I'm doing. Well, it's a clue. That's not what God wants you to do. And I'm not telling you to quit your job, because I'll actually teach you how to transition effectively out of your job into this business. What I am telling you is you need to break free from your job prison, and you need to start planning your escape. I'll help you plan the escape and do it smart, not stupid, where you could start building some clients and get some income coming in before you say, hasta la vista, take this job and shove it. We're going to do it smart. So a bird desires to fly, a fish desires to swim, because it was created by God for that. If you have a desire in your heart for this, you'll never be happy doing anything else. You'll be miserable. If you're out there, you've already done some things, you feel like you're hitting your head against the wall, I can tell you right now what your problem is. You don't have your one word. And you haven't gone through the process, the rigorous process I take people through, and finding out if that is a one word that is where God is moving, where there are real problems in the earth. I had one pastor call me one time, they heard this, says, I got my one word. I said, what is it? He said, faith. I'm like, dude, I'm like, no, your word's not faith. Every preacher on the planet thinks his word is faith. Another say, oh, mine's potential. No, it's not potential. Another lady, oh, mine's joy. I'm like, no, it's not joy. Nobody's going to pay you $100,000 to help them with joy. That's why you need consulting with this. You need a coach to help you. I know the market. It's not just what you want to do. It's also aligning with the market of, will they pay you for your expertise? So the last thing you want to do is study something, know more than anybody else about it. Nobody even cares about it. It's not a problem people have. So you see it on the screen. I've been leaving it up there while I've been talking about it. It's already in the comment section. If you're watching by replay, check out down below, click the link.